She's the friend who'll show up with coffee or wine when you need it most, but probably wine. Good vibes are on the way. Welcome to Erin O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency.
Hi, welcome to Erin O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency. I'm Erin, as you may have guessed. It is so great to have you here. If you're new, welcome. Stick around a bit. We got lots of stories to tell. The way that I got here, in case you don't know, is that a couple months ago, I was let go of what I would consider a dream job. I wanted to be a radio DJ since I was 12, and I was on Mix 104.1 in Boston for 24 years. And, corporate cuts are just what happens in radio these days. So I wanted to find a way to still make people smile because I love doing that. And here I am. Something I absolutely miss back at the radio station is my dear friend, Kennedy. She is part of Karson and Kennedy in the morning and has been for, I want to say 15 years now. And we became friends pretty much the day she walked in the door. She has done something that I just am so impressed with and I'm so proud of her for. And that is sharing really personal details of her life with the listening audience. And one of the things that she has been bravely sharing for quite some time now is her battle with mental health and mental illness. And she has brought such a great voice to it because, look at her. She's a public figure. She's got a great job, but she also has felt very, very low and now understands why, because she didn't have a diagnosis, but now she does. And she truly is making the world a better place. And I hope you enjoy the chat I had with Kennedy, my dear friend and an awesome advocate for everything having to do with mental health and more. Oh, am I excited today. I'm here with Kennedy Elsie, amazing human who is making the world such a better place every day. Hello.
Hi. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you.
I miss you too. And I'm so glad you're here. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, girl. You I've known for well over a decade.
Almost 16 years.
16 years. Yet you still on a regular basis impress me. And I am just so happy that you are here and that I get to just talk to you and we're not in a hurry. And there's no time limits because I can really ask questions and let people know just how spectacular you are and all the good you put in the world. So I want to, start with you being this incredible advocate and voice for mental health. There's not enough of them. And you have been such an open, beautiful book about things that you have struggled with and bumps along the road and how you've handled them. And I guess the first question is, what made you want to talk about something that's pretty personal? Why did you feel the need to do that? Because I know that bosses don't say you need to explain this or that is your business. What made you want to make it other people's?
Well, it took me a really long time to know that I was living with mental illness. For the majority of my grown-up life, I just kind of masked stuff with booze, with drugs, with whatever. I didn't know I was ill. I didn't know what was going on in there. And it took me kind of moving to Boston and moving out of a place where I lived that life into a place where I didn't know anybody and kind of had to start from scratch and realize how sad I was. Like how much demons were inside of my brain and talking to me all the time. And I was asked to host this charity event, and it was these 4 different charities all together. And I was there for one charity, but I was backstage, and one of the other charities was a place called South Shore Mental Health, which has changed names since. But needless to say, I met one of the women backstage, and I just started kind of talking to her about my life, and she goes, "Boo, it sounds like you are living with some depression and probably some other stuff. Like, would you like to talk to somebody?" And I was like, okay. So she got me in touch with this lovely man who became my first therapist ever. And we had our first session, and at the end of the first session, he was like, "Yeah, we need to get you on some meds." But he he
Yeah.
was he was not a prescriber, so we went up to the front desk to talk to the person to see when could I get in with a prescriber, and they were like, "It's going to be months," and thus began my understanding of the problem that we have just in terms of our medical system and getting help. As I started, found a prescriber, started moving through this, doing therapy 2 times a week, two different people, and realizing that all this stuff that I had been doing was just masking the things that were going on in my brain, and that I was just covering up a whole lot of stuff that was wrong with me, and that I didn't know, and that, had mental health been in a place it is now, which certainly isn't perfect, but is such a more vast landscape than it ever was. If I'd have known these things when I was young, not that I believe I would have changed anything, but it would have been helpful. And
Right. Maybe would have dated a little better.
no, probably not.
Maybe would have set
But
those standards a little higher.
probably not. But I'll tell you what, if I knew I had ADHD when I was in grade school, I would have gone to Harvard. But that said, as I started doing the work, I realized that I can be in charge of. I always envisioned it as a tool belt around my waist, and I can always learn new tools for different situations and whatever. And as I learned these things, I realized I was not alone. I was not the only person. When I would talk to people, privately on my own, and they would be like, "Oh my God, same." I just felt like it was something we should talk about. And to be quite honest with you, Erin, I cannot remember the first time we talked about it on the radio. I really can't.
Well, that's the thing.
But
you weaved it in so organically.
yeah, just felt it was important. And, as the times got tougher, and as, we went through COVID, during 2020, I went to McLean Hospital for 10 days. I done the things, and I've done the work, and I've been through the bad times. And if I can walk so others can run, as they say, I've always felt that once this became my mission, my purpose, I don't really care what people think of me or what I say. If I can help somebody else, then that's what I'm going to do. And talking about bosses and things of this nature, as you said before, is that I have a support team that has had my back since the very beginning. Not once, not ever have they ever said, "No, I wish you wouldn't say that," or maybe we should steer away from that, or no, or if I need a mental health day, I don't care, come in. We don't have that.
Right.
And I also kind of think that I started that.
I know you started that. I know you started that.
When your co-host, who is this very strong man who that's not his thing. And I remember the day he said, I'm taking the day off, and he never takes days off. And he didn't give a reason. And he came in the next day, and he's like, "I would like to talk about it on the air today as to why I took the day off yesterday." And he said that he took his very first mental health day. And I was like, we have done it.
Wow. That's a massive
can,
breakthrough.
Yeah. And I feel like, if you can make people feel comfortable in that space and make people understand that, you can look at me and you can listen to me on the radio. You can look at, our Instagrams, Erin, you understand this. It's all very shiny because I only put up the shiny. That's not true. I don't only put up the shiny. I put up crying too. But for the longest time, I only put up the shiny. You just put up the shiny. Because I always say that about shiny. Your shiny friends, in my opinion, are the ones who need you more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I find that the people who are most like me are the people who are overachievers, who worked hard and never looked like they had a problem, who could just always handle everything. And
Right.
Gee, I wish I could be like them. It's those folks that I think that kind of sometimes suffer the most, and that once you started that path, you don't want to veer off it.
Sure.
So,
I read something recently actually that said, just because I carry it well doesn't mean it's not heavy.
Correct. I do. I carry it very well. But I also realized that sometimes you need help to carry it. And I'm the worst at asking for it. And it wasn't until I really started thinking that I didn't have a place here on this planet anymore, and didn't really feel like there was a need for me to be here, or if I left, if anyone missed me, those things that go through you when you're dealing with suicidal ideation, that it took a few people, much like you, Erin, who said, yeah, you do actually. We do need you here.
We do.
And as you can start to accept that kindness back into you, That's when the cycle starts rolling. So when you can start finally finding ways to, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I have this, but I have these tools here. But then I also have these people here that support me, and I'm going to allow them to support me.
That's a
Because
big
people like
deal.
us don't ask for help, and we don't want anyone to bother with us, and we just want to be, leave us alone. But it's at those moments that you realize that that's it. And when I started talking about it on the air, we would go to do things in the public, 10,000 toys or mixed lounges or whatever the case might be. And I would have people come up to me and they would, in the beginning, it was whispered in my ears. They hugged me. Thank you so much. I got there because of you. Thank you
Oh,
so much. My daughter talked to me about what you said, and now we're going to therapy. And then a few years later, it was, Kennedy, I'm going to therapy. And
breakthrough.
that's when we're winning.
That is so spectacular. When you were saying, and it hit me so hard because I feel it and I remember it, that you were at just the lowest point of not feeling like you had a place here. Do you feel like the lowest was during COVID? Was that
No,
when you
no,
went to the
that
hospital? That wasn't the lowest?
no, that was when I could come up high enough out of that hole to say I needed help. I'd been way down here
Wow, thank
for a
God.
decade. For a decade.
We're lucky that you're still here. Thank God. Thank God you got the
Yeah,
help.
there were moments that were quite touch and go, but I don't want to speak lightly of those feelings because they're heavy and there are a lot of people out there that feel them and they can be very triggering. So I want to be very, very respectful of what I just said. But I also think that when you reach that space, for me, I have always deflected with humor. Not everybody does that, but that's
Mhm.
what I do. And whatever it is that gets you to that next step is fine.
Yeah, do whatever. That is exactly what you need. I want you to tell me about when you did get help at McLean, because I think that there are a lot of people who are like, well, you know what, it'll pass, I'll be okay. But if they are at that point where they want help, they want to reach out, how did that process work for you? Who did you call? How did you get there? How did you make that
Right.
leap? Because that's a big deal.
Right. So there's a lot of pieces before you get there.
Right.
But here's what I'll say to that. If you are feeling in an emergent space right now, if this is your rope and you are here and that's the end, you call 911, full stop. If the rope is here, you can call 988. That is the mental health crisis line that, for at least right now, is still being funded.
Mm.
Vote is now being funded. I am on the board of Samaritans. We handle a great deal of the 988 calls that come through. It's a wonderful place. Yes, if you're having a moment and you need to talk to somebody right here, right now, they can't fix all your problems. They will listen, they will hear. And if we feel you're in a space that we need to get you some help, we're going to get it for you. You don't have to be at the end of your rope before help is there. And I think that's, if I can impress one thing upon anybody, you can't wait until the very end. You can't wait until there's nothing left. There's help out there. Please grasp it. That said, if you are at the end of your rope, it's 911, it's an ER, and then they'll find you a bed. For me, in my journey, when I went to the hospital, I have a team of mental health professionals that I work with. And, one of them made the call for me because I knew I needed to go, but I didn't want to go to the emergency room because I
Right.
wasn't feeling emergent. And I knew that if I wasn't emergent, they weren't going to move me anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were able to, I mean, you can make phone calls. You can make phone calls and phone calls and phone calls and be pushy and persistent. But that's the case with, as you know, Erin, with anything having
Anything. You
to
have
do
to be
with
your
our
own
health.
advocate for
You
everything.
have to be
Yeah.
your own advocate. But there are so many people you can talk to at this moment. If you're under 25, there's a text line. It's called Hey Sam, part of Samaritans, where it's hardly even a crisis line. It's just you want to talk to somebody, you can talk to somebody. If you've got parents that don't get it, you can talk to somebody. You've got friends that don't get it, you can talk to somebody. And it's all text because who wants to talk at that age, right?
Right.
So I feel like there are so many spaces out there that were not there 5 years ago, 10 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, that are there. And I just will throw it out here. I am not a mental health professional, nor can I help everybody. But if ever the day comes and you just need a little whatever, You can email me anytime, Kennedy@mix1041.com, and I can at least try and send you in the right space.
You're very well connected, and you really you have such a patience and understanding. I've talked with so many people who have reached out to you and followed your journey, and they all say the same thing, and that is Kennedy sharing gave me the strength to share, to reach out, to get help, to find what I was missing. And many times that's just somebody to talk to. Sometimes it's meds, sometimes it's an actual diagnosis that they lived with and had no idea. And there are things out there that can help. Oh my gosh, why suffer if there's something that can help?
Ladies especially, stop suffering. Take all the tests. Do all the things.
Do all the things and know that there's so much help out there. Like you said, there's texting. You don't even have to call anybody if you don't want to. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can text. There are people that care.
Nothing comes easy. Your mental health, your whatever, it don't come easy. But anything worth doing is worth doing and doing well. And that means you've got to put in the work. This is a decade of therapy for me. Sometimes 2-3 times a week. This is work. Mm-hmm. It's more work than any work I've ever done on anything in my life, but it is the most rewarding work because it's work on me, and I get to walk out of it and be like, I did that.
You did that.
I did that.
Such a huge accomplishment. It's like the memes you see of an iceberg that's so majestic and nobody sees the underneath part of
the duck that's on the top of the water feeling fine, but underneath it's doing this. Yes, that's what we do.
Or the tree, and nobody sees the roots and how many years it took for it to get to this beautiful tree. Like, it's very easy to look at something and be like, oh, I want that. But do you have any idea what went into that? Most people, no matter what the success is, it's not an overnight thing.
No. Ask any music person. Ask Lizzo how many times she sang Good as Hell before it went on the radio. It was 5 years.
Yep. It was years, sometimes decades. So, give yourself some breathing room too is another great message.
Give some grace.
You did something, you mentioned it a little bit ago about, is it Hey Sam? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last August.
Oh my gosh. Was it so impressive? So can you explain what it started out as and then what it became?
I wanted to do something for this burgeoning new part of Samaritans, the organization I told you about before, that these kids who work at Samaritans, volunteers really, who are all under 25, decided was necessary during COVID. And we have a crisis line at Samaritans, but it's a crisis line. But they realized that these young people really weren't in crisis per se, but just needed someone to talk to. Mm-hmm. Because not everybody has someone to talk to. Not everybody has a parent who understands. So they put this together themselves. And there is
and it's a text line? Is that right?
And there's, I want to use a state senator if I get it wrong, Rebecca. I'm so sorry, but her name is Rebecca Rausch. She found us $1 million. And we are a small organization. And I can't tell you how much $1 million is to a small organization like us to get it rolling. So it is a text line that is manned 24 hours a day by people 25 and under. That's it. You're never going to have somebody trying to use the word Riz inappropriately. And it's a place and a space to feel safe, to talk to people anytime, anywhere. And when I tell you this thing in the few years it has been alive has taken on such a life. And every time I talk about it, I get goosebumps. And every time I think about it, I'm just so proud of these young people who did this. And so when I did last August, the thing called Kennedy's Wicked Long Walk, we literally decided in a week, I'm going to walk 11 miles from Wellesley to Brookline. There's this street called Washington Street, and it's one of the longest continuous streets in the city. I mean, plan nothing. No plan. The only person I brought with me was my guy, Dennis, who is a firefighter, because he's an EMT and he's one of my dearest friends.
If you needed the help,
and I needed both. I needed a best friend and I needed an EMT, and he was both. And he's like, I absolutely will walk with you. I wanted to raise $5,000. And, we had raised some money a few days leading up to it. And then by the end, at 10 o'clock that morning, we had raised somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000. And then I think we kept the donations online for another day. And at the end, we were at $52,000.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I still get chills when I think about
all of you amazing humans out there made possible. So we're doing it again this year.
Oh,
just have fun. Oh, honey, I'm doing it again until I can't walk anymore.
Oh, I love
again, working for a place that allows me to do this, that I just say, hey, I want to do it. And they go, yeah, sure.
Look at the difference you get to make with it. That's the other thing that's so
yeah,
spectacular about where you are employed, because you do have that freedom. But if you didn't have the idea of, I want to make a difference, I want to help, how can I do it? And then you come up with these out of the box ideas. If you didn't have all that, nothing else would matter. So you have to give yourself
yeah,
credit too, because you are why it's happening.
sure. But if I'm going to be super honest with you, Erin, I'd like to be honest with you for a moment, everybody watching today, you started it. Your
Me?
good stories
Oh.
started this whole role. And while our show, we've always tried to be about kindness, it wasn't until we really watched you being about kindness and the response that you received from your people about kindness that we realized how very important kindness was and enabled us to follow your lead to be kind as well.
Oh,
Because if
thank you.
there's one thing I have learned from you in the 16 years that I have known you, and as we harken back to the dark days of both of us, the fact that you are this bright, shining beacon, literal human Prozac. You and Andy Grammer are about right here, I think, for most human beings in terms of being human dopamine,
Oh,
and that matters, and it mattered, and it still matters to people. And I'm just so glad you have continued your work because your feel good stories have been, I think, something that I looked forward to, that people looked forward to, that I'm sure people shared with you. So, oh, I got a good one for you. And I just don't know any better way you can leave this planet than with this time capsule that you're giving people throughout this podcast of yours that they get to have forever. That whenever they're having a bad day, they can just pop you on and be like, I'm better now. And
oh,
that's what you've done.
thank you,
And I
girl. That means
need you
everything.
to know that. Because
Thank
sometimes
you.
I don't think you do, just like I don't know I do. I think sometimes we have to tell each other that as
Thank you.
sisters.
That means,
It's important.
see, I know women have to build each other up instead of tearing each other down. I get tired of that too.
Oh
Thank
yeah.
you.
Mean girls are not for me.
No, me
I mean,
neither.
unless you hurt one of my friends. I'm an Aries. You got one chance, and then you're all done with me.
I like that. One
Well,
chance.
it's the Aries in me. I will give you one chance. I'm an underdog fan. You come at my people twice, we are all finished. And I wish
So
you luck.
I have several things that you have, because, you don't just stop there at the fundraising. You have found a way to raise money with actual articles of clothing, hats specifically.
Oh
And
yeah,
I love that you do this, because, again, this is not just, you get on the air and you ask for donations or whatever. Tell me about your light, because I love this. And I'm going to actually put mine on right now as you talk about it.
yeah. So I have a woman that I work with. So cute on you. I can't stand how cute it is on you. So I have a woman that I work with. She is my Reiki master. I think it was kind of during some dark times. And she just looked at me like she was working and she goes, Kennedy, your light, it is needed. And that just stuck with me. Your light is needed. And it made sense because, yeah. So what if just something as simple as putting a light bulb on a hat? And Carson's wife, Lana, did all of those at her business, Boston Belle. So if you need embroidery, please holler at a girl
She's
because
awesome.
we love to support our women's.
That's
And
right.
so she made me some baseball hats. She made me those bucket hats. She made me
I have the
some winter
beanie too
hats.
for the winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just thought, what a great way to start a conversation. Someone might come up to you and say, what's that on your hat? And you'd be like, it's you. It's shining back at you. And I just thought anything like that, how cool. The one thing I'm really bad at is marketing it. So go to my Shopify thing, buy them all up so I can buy some new ones.
Hey, tell me
But
the Shopify address, because I found it just because I was
I
online.
honestly don't know. If you just look up like your light is needed Shopify, you can find it. I'm
I'm
terrible
like,
at
wow,
this part
you
of it.
are kind of bad at marketing if you don't even know where to send people.
100%.
But see, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. You are making such a difference. And then the money goes back to Samaritans.
Right back. Yeah, every penny I didn't spend on the hat goes right back to them. So yeah.
That's pretty remarkable. That is what I mean by you are constantly doing things to make the world a better place and to help others. And you could very easily pocket this money. These are cool hats, man. You can make a mint on these, but instead you...
No, I'd
give it
have
all
to
back.
actually sell them to do it. So if anybody wants to be my assistant,
I feel like you need one right now. You keep opening more doors and getting yourself
I'm not
involved in
kidding.
more things.
I don't want to do the social media anymore. To be quite frank, I've backed away from it so hard. I've turned off my notifications. I don't get emails after 6 o'clock anymore, and I don't feel bad about it.
Hey, that's all part of
these are
mental
things.
health.
I realize I'm at a space in my life that I have the ability to do these things. Not everybody does. I get it.
Yeah.
But also, too, I only just did this within the last 6 months. Always thought I had to answer emails. I always thought I had to be available. I don't. I turn my phone goes to do not disturb at 7:30 and my emails stop at 6.
Okay, so how has your life changed since then? Because you've implemented this.
Initially, the anxiety was crazy. And then I would check and check and check. And then I didn't.
Then you didn't. Nobody died.
Let's be very honest. I'm not a surgeon. I am not in charge of the nuclear codes. But quite frankly, probably neither are any of you. Right. So it's okay to turn it off. And it's okay to maybe like get up on a Monday and not scroll through all of it and make yourself feel like you missed something because you chose to stay home or going out is uncomfortable for you.
Right. I've actually heard you beat yourself up about that kind of thing in the past.
And now I look at my friends' things because I'm happy for them and I'm proud of them. And then I look at otter videos and I look at marching band videos and babies laughing.
Yeah.
And then people who voice over dogs running around and doing things. I have built my algorithm brick by brick.
Well, it's doom scrolling and it becomes heavy. It's not.
If you're looking at stuff that makes you happy, do it.
Right.
But if you're looking at stuff that's like, oh, she's better than me, they're better than me, I wish I had this, wish I had that, go look up the things that bring you joy and you will eventually change your algorithm to a good space. It takes work, just like everything else.
Yes. It does. It does not happen overnight. Just like the tree and the roots, etc.
And every once in a while, Mark Zuckerberg will go bing, and then you have to change the algorithm again. But you do that. There's one piece of information I can give, and Erin, I know you know this better than anybody. Life is far too short to worry about stuff that just does not matter.
It is so true. And that actually brings me to the fact that, like myself, you have battled breast cancer, and I heard that you just got, was it a mammogram? What was it?
It was my, so yesterday I had my first mammogram post-cancer. To be honest, I've been going through so much other stuff. Here's my last 365 days. July 3rd, I found out I had cancer. Happy Independence Day. And then I had surgery, August, and then I had to have a second surgery, September, 19 rounds of radiation. I went away for a little bit. Came back to work. My dog died. I stopped a long-term relationship.
You're like a bad country song, honestly.
And then I've had this terrible back stuff. I found out I have these bulging discs and blah, 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 blah. So I have to do all this stuff. Anyway, so it's been a lot. And I just haven't had respite. So to be frank, when I found out that I was having, on Monday, I was like, oh, I have a mammogram today. I had not even thought about it. So I go, when you're going through radiation, you're putting on a Johnny every day. So I just sit down in the waiting room. And then I kind of went, oh, wait, this could be bad.
Yeah.
So I wait, and then this wonderful woman takes me in, and I know she doesn't remember me, but I remember her because she was in the room with me when I got the biopsy, and she was so kind. She rubbed my back the whole time. Oh. So you sit in the chair while she sets everything up and gets you ready, and then she said, okay, step up to the machine, and I couldn't get out of the chair.
Oh.
I looked at her, and I said, I'm scared. I don't want to get it. I don't want to do it. And she looked at me and she said, I understand, baby. We're going to get through it together. And so we did. And when you've had problematic mammograms or cancer or whatever, they don't let you leave without the doctor looking at your scans first, which is a lovely, lovely treat because the rest of us have to wait.
Right.
So I was grateful for that, but it took a really long time. And
which did not help your nerves of waiting.
Really long time was 15 minutes, but let's be honest, 15 minutes was a long time. Yeah. And the woman in the office just kept walking in and out like this. And I'm like, and then finally my gal comes out and she goes, you're good. See you next year.
Oh, thank you. Have you sitting
and
on
I just was like, waiting. What?
Oh.
But I was not expecting that. I wasn't. I figured I was, I've already done the hard part. So I'm good for another year. Not even 6 months, another year. Because I was doing them every 6 months before that. So we're in a good space. But
thank God.
As I've said and as you've said.
Check yourself. And literally saved your life. My God. What is more important?
I'll smush your boob. Come on, let's go.
By the way, speaking of squishing the boobs, I'm infinitely free now. I have my own business, apparently. So next time you have an appointment, ringy-ding-ding, Erin will be there for you.
Sounds like a plan and a half.
I make my own schedule now.
I love that for you so much.
So what is next for Kennedy? What are you going to sell, like shirts next? What else can I buy?
I honestly, I don't know. I really just, at this point, I'm kind of just doing not even a day at a time, a step at a time. And I'm good with that.
I love that for you. And I love the difference that you are making in this world. And I love
And
that
I
you
love the
fought
difference
to be
you're making in the world.
Thanks.
Because you really are. And you always have.
Thank
Whether you
girl.
know it or not, my sweet woman.
Thank you.
You're an angel in this universe. And I'm so grateful to count you among my friends.
Right back at you, sister. Thank you so much, Ken. I feel like this chat proves two things. First of all, we all deal with something in life. You never know what anybody's going through. And a lot of times, what feels like it may crush you ends up being your biggest learning experience and something that gives you a voice for others and helps other people along the way. And number two, be your own advocate always. If something doesn't feel right, if you don't feel like your brain is working properly, something is off, please advocate for yourself. Please call a doctor and get scans and whatever else needs to be done so you can get on a path to a better, healthier you, and you don't have to struggle. There's so much help out there. Lastly, on a totally unrelated topic, but it kind of threads through, is congratulations to Brad Marchand. So he was an amazing player for the Bruins, and they got rid of him this season. And he went to Florida and ended up helping them win the Stanley Cup last week. I'm sure there's a little bit of regret there. But what I think is interesting, this is the only thing I will ever have in common with Brad, is that I think we both were kicked to the curb on the same day from jobs we both absolutely loved. And here's why I remember this. It's going to be better if you have video as I'm showing you something. So this is the Boston Herald. I found it when I was cleaning out my closet over the weekend. And so I thought I'd show you. So there's Brad Marchand. He is on the front page of the Boston Herald right after the Bruins let him go. But then right on his back, my friends, right on his back, second page, there I am with Kennedy and Karson. Only thing in my life that I can ever say, like, hey, Brad and I had something in common. But much like Brad, I would like to believe that this is going to be even more fun, and I'm going to find an even better purpose and voice here to hopefully help more people smile and help you see that life is short and we're trying to make it sweet. Thank you so much for being here. I'm already looking forward to chatting next week and having you join me. I hope you have a wonderful week. Don't forget, new website. It is up, finally. It's ErinO'Malley'sFrequency.com. ErinO'Malley'sFrequency.com. You can find all of the platforms to listen, even to view the podcast, and email me too. Thank you so much. Enjoy your week. Thanks for being here. Bye.